Hello. So I'm gonna be doing kind of a, this is my first time doing like a little yap session. Um, so I just kind of wanted to make a little series where I could just, you know, stop and talk about whatever. Not really any topic. Just whatever's on my mind. Because I'm sure whatever's on my mind is also on a lot of other people's minds right now. Um, So, first thing I want to talk about is art fight. I'm very excited, but also a little nervous. This is my first time taking art fight this seriously. I know when you take art fight seriously, sometimes it kind of saps the fun out of it. So I'm a little worried. I'm a little nervous. Um, but I think it's gonna be fun. I'm not doing it for the artwork. I never do it for the artwork. I do it to learn and create and be inspired and to inspire. I like inspiring people. Um, yeah. So that'll start on Tuesday. Today is Sunday. I'm very excited. I've done so much prep work. My queue for the first week is basically full. But for the rest of the month, I'm still kind of looking for people. So if you want to, you can go to my art fight and, find my hit list. And my hit list is still open. Another thing I wanted to talk about is my general health has not been good. I didn't know how I wanted to talk about this. I've said a little bit. About a week ago, a little over a week ago, actually. It would have been a week on Friday. I was diagnosed with stage 2 hypertension. That's significant enough that if it's going on for a long period of time, which it is, and it was, um, then it's life-threatening. Uh, Combined with the fact that we also think I have POTS, that's not good. That's really, really not good. Um, I'm still processing that because those of you who know me, you know that I've also been taking care of someone, uh my sister-in-law, my roommate, she has cancer for like last year. So making space to feel my own mortality while also helping someone else process theirs is hard. It's very, very hard. What I've been through in the past year, I would not wish on my worst enemy. And I'm just gonna be completely frank with that. Um, things are not going well right now for either of us. Uh, but I know speaking for me, uh, they put me on a new medication because it was, you know, kind of important to address this immediately. Uh, they put me on a beta blocker, which in retrospect, beta blockers aren't really meant for people who think they have POTS or do have the diagnosis of POTS, which is, you know, uh, but it's okay. We'll get there in the end. What matters is that this is helping short term, and I am gonna find something long term. Uh, on that note, another topic. I'm currently using Rebelle 7 right now. This is my second time using it. Uh, I put a little bit too much water on the paper, I think. Uh, so if you don't know me, a watercolor artist IRL. Uh, so I'm trying to learn Rebelle so that I can make art that is more similar to my art style digitally. I think that would be really beneficial for me, not only as, a commissions based artist, but also like just in general, I think that this is beneficial. Yeah, you can see here that there's just way too much water on the paper. That's okay. I'm learning. Yeah, there you go. Um, what else? Oh, I'm growing a garden, with things going the way they are right now. I'm really worried about food insecurity, so I'm growing snap peas, um, baby spinach, which didn't take very well, unfortunately, and then baby bok choy, which is doing a little bit better. The peas are growing amazingly, which is great because that was what I was most excited about, but um I'm growing specifically things that have a lot of protein content. I I have a history of not getting enough protein in my diet, so yeah. Um that's another thing. I've been concerned, and I'm not really quiet about that. But I don't talk politics very often. I'm very concerned. I'm a trans man living in the South, and I transitioned about, oh, I'd say 2 years before stuff really hit the fan. Uh, so what that means for me right now is I'm just kinda living it as a hikikomori. I'm just living it at home as a recluse. I leave for like Walmart trips every so often, and I leave for therapy because my therapist specifically will not let me have um telehealth because she's like, this is one of the only times you leave the house. I'm not letting you do that to yourself. And I was like, you know what? That's fair. I'm upset about it, but it's fair. um, she's great. I really this is something that a lot of people with mental illness have to deal with is having to go through numerous therapists before you find one that sticks. I think she's good. I really do. The problem though is that she's a student. And that's great for me because that means that I get discounted therapy. Which, by the way, if you're struggling to get therapy, that is definitely something you can look into, especially if you live in a town that is near college. Uh, there's always uh, there's always people who are more than willing to get the experience. But anyways, the reason that that's not great, that's not ideal, is I know eventually she's gonna graduate from college. And then what then? Is she gonna, stay with the practice? Is she gonna move somewhere else? Like what happens then? I'm very I'm one of those people that really struggles staying present, and I feel like that's really common. I feel like that's a thing that people just deal with. Um I I am really not looking forward to the day where I have to uh leave her practice, leave her care, and go and start over again with someone else. Uh but I'm gonna try and stay present and basically just uh take it one day at a time. That's all I can do right now. That's all any of us can do right now. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned, so I live in a neighborhood where there's this really nice guy. He painted, planted, uh, like sunflowers and cosmos and like mums and things. Uh, and he just did it to make the neighborhood look better. He didn't do it for any reason. Like he just wanted the neighborhood to look better, which is, that's so nice. Usually, people would have like a homeowners association for that kind of thing, but we don't have that here. Uh, um, but yeah, so I was taking a walk today. I was watering my own plants, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fill up my water bucket a little bit higher today, and I'm gonna go water those plants. And then it was just the most perfect blue sky, and it wasn't like too bright, wasn't too sunny. It was just really nice. It's a little hot, but it's the South. Hot and humid is all it does from like June until September. Um, but anyways, the flowers were just really pretty today, so I took a bunch of pictures, and this was one of the pictures I took. There was a bee that was just hanging around. Uh, he was pollinating. He was doing his job, little guy. um, but yeah, I really needed that today. I feel like there's a lot of negativity in my life right now. Uh, and the little things that make me smile are becoming more and more rare. So it was just really needed and necessary for me right now. I realized right now that I was using the eraser and not a pen, but that's okay. Um, you can barely tell that the sky that I'm gonna paint later is shining through those little hairs on the stem. It looks fine. There's um, I think Bob Ross used to say, "There's no there's no mistakes. There's only happy accidents." I somewhat believe that. uh, yeah. I feel like this wasn't a happy accident. It's just kind of a thing that happened. And you know what? That's okay. It's not the end of the world. And I feel like those it's not the end of the world moments are kind of what I have to cling on to right now. as somebody who has BPD, borderline personality disorder, um, it's very common for people with BPD to be very black and white. Uh, and when I say that, I mean like things either are or are not. And in reality, that's not true. There is gray area in all things. It just doesn't feel that way for people with BPD. That's why sometimes you'll hear BPD being demonized as, you know, these people who are just terrible and horrible and unforgiving and just can't commit and all this stuff. Um, well, that's partially true for some people with BPD. There's some partial truth to that. I think it's more that we're not given the opportunity to learn that there's gray area. And I'll talk more about this later. I have plans to make a full podcast style video series on mental disorders and like, well, specifically the mental disorders that I have, because I can only talk about my own experience, right? And things like, my struggles with POTS and my experiences with like fibromyalgia. Um, I feel like I really want to use my platform to educate. Um, and also to be educated. That's something that I've talked about a little bit recently is to be an educator and to have people listen to you. You have to also be willing to be educated yourself. I went to cosmetology school in like 2018, 2017. It was 2017, sorry. Um, and one of the things that they taught you early on is that you have to always be learning, even if you're graduated, even if you've been in the industry for years and years and years. And I really resonate with that. You have to always be learning. You have to always be growing. Nobody's perfect. Even people who have been on this earth for 100 years, they're still learning. They're still growing. You have to either adapt or uh the world will, you know, I guess adapt without you, um, as horrible as that sounds. I'm not super happy with how this flower turned out. I feel like if I had done this painting with my traditional art supplies, it would have turned out a lot better, but that's okay. I need to learn how to use this program. Like, I really need to learn how to use this program because I'm going to get the full version eventually. That's what I'm currently doing a donathon for over on my Twitch. Um, you can visit my Ko-fi, which is Bloom the Bun, if you want to help with that. You don't have to. It's, we're very close to uh getting the full version of this program funded. I'm currently using a trial. Um, I feel really bad, honestly. I'm gonna be really frank and honest about this. I feel kind of bad about having so many donathons and fundraisers and crises this year, and just, I know it's not my fault. I know it's not anything I can control, but like, doing a donathon for something, quote, fun, even though this is, you know, a program that I'm going to be using for commissions and for work, it just feels really bad to me. And I think that's just a lot of self-guilt, self-doubt, all that stuff. All those nasty brain worms. um, but it's okay. Everyone has been super kind about it, by the way. The fact that, um, this year has not treated me well at all. I feel like 2025 has been really a struggle for a lot of people. And you know what? Even if I'm struggling, I'm still here. If you ever need somebody to talk to, my DMs are always open. I would much rather someone come to me, even if I'm, you know, overwhelmed, than have them struggle in silence. That's always how I've been. um, that being said, I've been kind of putting out more boundaries recently, saying things like, "Hey, can you like only message me if it's positive?" Because I'm not gonna lie, life has kind of been a struggle, and I feel like it's that way for a lot of people. I'm not used to, you know, sticking up for myself, and that just feels like a form of self-care that I've never really done. My brain is not wired to do that. um, I'm really trying. I am really, really trying. Because I'm gonna say I'm gonna talk about this because I know that there's a lot of people pleasers out there, especially in the VTubing community and the art community. Um, it's okay to put out boundaries and be like, hey, so I love you, but can you just, you know, only message me with kindness for a little bit? It doesn't have to be forever. When it becomes an issue of you only wanting positivity for like months, I think that's a problem, you know? There is such a thing as toxic positivity, but I don't think that asking for it and holding space for your mental health is a negative thing. I really don't. And people need to stop acting like it is. Oh, Pride was this weekend. I live in a pretty urban area, and my town has one of the biggest Pride celebrations in like probably a few states, if not the entire South. So, um, I was really worried. I was really concerned. I was like, how is this gonna go? You know? Um, but it went well. I'm very happy. Anyways, uh, that is the end of that. Uh, let me put up the painting real quick. Oh, I did not save it as a PNG. That's okay. um, I'll have to do that for next time. Thank you guys for coming to this little yap session. If you want more of this kind of stuff, let me know. Um, I kind of just like to be really transparent with my followers, and this helps me do that. Yeah. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself. A lot of us are struggling right now. So, yeah. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Blue Sky, Discord. Um, what else? Twitter. um, everything and art fight. Art fight's next week. um, everything I am Bloom the Bun, except for YouTube where I am Bloom the Bun VT. I think it was taken. I'm not sure. But anyways, thank you for listening or watching. I hope that I helped you get through some like work that you needed to get done. I hope that I helped you co-work. Or I hope I helped you work through some things. Or just keep you company. Yeah. I'm going to be streaming at 5 p.m. CST for the near future, just because of Art Fight. Um, yeah. I usually take Fridays off. Um, we'll see. Thank you guys for stopping by. And if nobody has told you yet today, I'm happy you're here.